It's 8:47 on a Sunday morning. Service starts in 13 minutes. Your lead camera operator just texted they're stuck in traffic. The video feed from the main campus is flickering, and one of your audio volunteers is standing in the hallway, tears in their eyes because their marriage is falling apart. And they're not sure that they can go through with the service. And then you realize you haven't even finished your cup of coffee. This is church production. And if you've ever been in that moment where the technical and the pastoral collide, where you're troubleshooting a signal flow and a human heart at the same time, you've come to the right place. Welcome. Hi, I'm Gabe Johnson, and I'm your host. A little bit about me. I grew up in the church and grew up actually doing church production since I was about 9 years old. My dad was a pastor then, and we needed somebody to run the lyrics and the little 16 channel audio mixer. I think it was a PV. And my friend, who's a little bit older than me, was running that stuff. And then because I wanted to hang out with him because I thought he was super cool, I decided to start hanging out with him and helping with the sound stuff. So that continued all the way through high school. And I ended up actually going to Bible college to become a worship pastor. I started playing music in high school and was just super involved with the worship team, both on the sound side and on the music side. And that's what I ended up studying in Bible college. I worked as an audio engineer through most of college for our traveling choir, and I mixed at local churches, just volunteering, as well as playing on the worship teams and leading worship, filling in for my friends who are worship pastors in the area. And then I went to do a year-long residency with a church to get some hands-on experience after I graduated with my undergrad. And partway through there, somebody challenged me. They said, "Hey, have you ever considered doing production? You seem really passionate about it and you've got a lot of good experience. Have you ever considered doing production stuff um, as your job, as your career, rather than the music side of things?" And nobody had ever asked me that question before. So I shifted tracks in the middle of that residency program and jumped in with the production team, dove in head first and started learning even more about audio and video and lighting. I didn't know anything about lighting at the time. Fast forward to the end of that, I ended up getting hired at a church as a production manager at a multi-site campus, satellite campus for multi-site church. And I worked in that role for several years and then ended up taking a production director role at a different multi site church for a little while and kind of overseeing a bunch of multi sites. And then a while later, due to some family health stuff, I ended up moving back to the first church. And that's where I'm still working today. I've worked as a production manager for about uh for about 7 years, and recently I've also started to lead other production managers inside our organization. So over that time, I've had quite a bit of experience leading volunteers as well as, task management and having to get all the maintenance and all of the weekend prep and all of that kind of stuff done for a multi-site campus, as well as on the broadcast side of things. I um And I've noticed that I think there's a really unique challenge to um, being a production pastor, a technical artist in the church, whatever you want to call it, a production professional. Um, there's some unique challenges that I found that I had to work through, and I had great other leaders come alongside me, great mentors, and um, and other leaders around me to help me navigate some of these things. Because on one side, we are technical people, so we've got signal flow, and we've got universes of DMX that we're patching. We've got to make sure the lights are programmed, that audio is patched, that the signal is coming in for the live stream. We've got to make sure that our projectors are calibrated properly, and all of that takes quite a bit of time, as well as like technical expertise. And it's beautiful that we get to use that in the church. Alongside that, we are often also leading teams of volunteers, because we can't do everything on our own, but we are bringing others alongside us. And once you're in that position where you're bringing volunteers alongside you, there becomes a whole host of different struggles that you're going to run into. That's dealing with just life with people. They now are looking at you as a church leader, as a spiritual leader, and ideally you can meet them right there in that where they're at. You're visiting people in the hospital. You're visiting people in the hospital. You're baptizing people. You're praying with them on the phone when their family members are having health issues. You're maybe pushing them toward whatever their next faith step is, whether it's baptism or giving or whatever it is. You're having these hard conversations about behavior, about attitude, trying to protect the culture of your team, and doing all that pastoral kind of stuff while also managing all the technical stuff just brings a really interesting tension. Both require a lot of time and a lot of intentionality to do well, and needing to do both just requires a special level of calling, of dedication, and of intentionality to really, really care for both your space and your experience and your people really, really well. And that's something that I've had to grow in over the years. I was not great at this. Often I would be in seasons where I was either getting all the like work done late because I was like spending time with people, and so things weren't ready on the weekends. The band would come in, and patches would be wrong, and everything would just not be quite dialed and quite ready. But I was spending time with maybe volunteers during the week or recruiting volunteers during the week. And then there were other times where I really was trying to dial in my processes on the technical side. And so I was very, very, very prepared with all of the production things, and the weekends were going awesome, but I wasn't spending any time with people, and I wasn't growing my volunteer team actively. And so learning to balance these over the years has been the greatest struggle and the biggest game changer, the biggest force multiplier that I've been able to find in church production, in production ministry in general. And so that's why we're here. I don't see a ton of content out there right now talking about these things, about how to care for people and for our experiences at the same time. There are a few voices out there that I am so thankful for, and they have poured into me, and I'm standing on their shoulders as I'm in my ministry. And I cannot be more grateful for all of those people that are pouring into this space. And I was sitting back and thinking, what would have been helpful for me 7 years ago when I was starting out. And I think it would have been somebody that's just a couple of steps ahead of me that can say, "Oh yeah, I've been there before. I've seen this. This is normal. You're not crazy." And here's some ideas on how to get better, how to move forward, how to care for this this ministry well. And that's what I hope to provide here, just a space and a community where we can talk about what goes on in our churches, in our ministries, and in our tech booths, in a safe space, in a space that balances the technical side and the people side in a way that really helps to create healthy culture, healthy community, and ultimately spreads the gospel, because that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this, right? We want more and more people to be able to hear and receive the gospel. If that sounds interesting to you, I hope you stick around. I find that most content out there, especially like church leadership content, is not specifically geared toward production people, though it is very valuable and sometimes just takes some nuance to be able to apply to our specific situations. And then most production content is very often on the technical side, because a lot of us kind of nerd out about that and we can really easily get really excited about that. But it doesn't always hit onto that leadership side and that pastoral side of like why we're doing what we're doing and how to build our teams, how to vision cast for our teams. I feel like when I was starting out, felt caught between these two worlds of I'm supposed to be a leader and I don't know how to do that yet. And I'm also this technician and this producer that is trying to make these experiences, and like living in that tension and bringing those two together to create just a super healthy and effective ministry. Man, that's what I want to see in all of our churches across the world. And it's not just me. I know that I've talked with other people that feel this too. I've seen it in some of the people that I've worked with, that I've led over the years, where some of them are just the best pastors. They're always hanging out, grabbing lunch with volunteers. They're bringing them along, getting them involved in projects, making them feel super important and super loved and seen. But maybe then they're not caring for their spaces, or they're kind of phoning in the technical side. And then I've seen the opposite, where I've seen people that are just super technically minded. They're producing great services. They've got spotless booths. Every cable is dressed just perfectly, but they're running their services by themselves because they haven't spent any time developing their team. And both extremes are a problem. And so the closer we can get to doing both of these things well is where we will be the most effective. I'm still growing in this area. I don't pretend to be an expert. I am just on the path and hope to bring somebody along the path with me. As we get into this podcast, there's going to be episodes where I'm talking about specific things, specific topics. And also, I plan to bring in some other leaders that I've worked with in the past, maybe some that I haven't worked with, but have been connected with. And we can talk through different things from their perspectives as well. I want to really gain a bunch of perspective on how to run a healthy production ministry in a really holistic way. Obviously, the way I do things is not the perfect way. So I don't want you just to hear from me. We will probably also explore different books, leadership topics, and also share some stories of times where maybe things haven't gone quite right and what could have been better. And I hope that we can have some fun as well as grow together as we're getting into this season here. We will talk about like practical production and technical tips, volunteer leadership, conflict resolution, burnout prevention, and even some like theology of production and of serving behind the scenes in this capacity. We'll do, like I said, I'll have episodes where it's just me. I'll bring on some guests and do some interviews. And I hope that you feel seen, that you know that you're not alone, that you know that there is a whole community of like-minded people out here doing what you're doing, and that you do not have to navigate this alone. I know those late nights, programming lights or troubleshooting something that's not working can feel really, really lonely and isolating. And it's my hope and my prayer that perhaps through this, I can help you feel that you are more connected and less alone, and that you can come into a broader community as well to feel more connected and feel supported. You may be wondering why this is called the House Lights podcast, because I mean, I think most of us would say that's probably one of the more boring pieces of gear. And so, why would you name a podcast after House Lights? Um, as I was reflecting, I was thinking about what is truly important in our roles, in our ministries, and when we step back and we check our priorities, it's not the stage, it's not what's happening on the stage, it's not the people on the stage, it's not our programming or our display or our like cleanliness or our spaces that are important. It's the people we serve with, the people that we are serving in our church, and the people that aren't in our church yet that hopefully can come and experience Jesus. Those people, the people sitting in the house, that's what's most important. Shifting our focus from the stage to the people in the room, illuminating what's really happening, the people that are really important, that are our focus. That's why it's called House Lights. So if you're leading a production team, connecting volunteers, or just trying to figure out how to do technical work with a pastoral heart, welcome. Pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee. Next episode, I'll be sharing with you guys a story of not a great time when something was just going wrong, and how that resolved. And I hope that you can relate to that. And so that you don't miss that, go ahead and click that subscribe button, click that follow button, and you'll get a notification whenever that episode goes live. Thank you so much for hanging with me this far. It's an honor that you would give me your time, and I ask that you bear with me. I'm still figuring this out too. I'm on the path. I've not got all this figured out, podcast stuff or church production stuff, but I'm on the path with you, and I hope that we can figure this out together. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back next time.